Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Tatiana Teaches. Today, we have with us the lovely and talented Natasha Jain, joining us all the way from Hong Kong. Natasha, thank you for your presence today. You and I first connected via a creative group we both belong to called Creative Mornings, a wonderful group, international platform for creatives around the world. So you never know where one thing's going to lead to another and how people will connect. But I invited Natasha to come today because as a performer, actor, and director, she has a lot of experience when it comes to public speaking. Welcome, Natasha.
Thanks, Tatiana. Thank you so much for having me. It's really wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. And as you can tell, Natasha does not have a New Jersey accent at all. She's got that beautiful UK accent, so love it. I mean, I'm sure that my students are going to love it too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I really love the American accent, so, each to their own.
Today, I would like to talk about two things that are very important in public speaking: extemporaneous speaking, and the second is how do you recover from a setback? And this is something my students identify as a big fear all the time, making a mistake and how to transform that. So let's start with the first one, which is extemporaneous speaking. And when I say that, what I mean is you know your speech, you know your content, and you can deliver it with this naturalness that's like a conversation. Students often struggle with sounding natural. They often sound like they're reading. It's one of the pieces of feedback I give the most often. Of course, people are well prepared. They've taken the time, put in all the work to write this great speech. And so it happens even more so in an online environment when it's very easy to have our content in front of our screen and looking at a webcam, where it's more obvious when it's happening in person. As an actor, Natasha, you literally study a script, memorize it, rehearse it like crazy, and then stand up in front of a group of people and deliver it in the most natural way, with emotion, with naturalness. So how do you perform with this extemporaneous delivery style, and how can my students do it too?
Sure. Look, the absolute first thing, and you've already touched on this, is practice, practice, practice. If you have taken the time to write this beautiful and wonderful and valuable speech, you want people to know what you're saying, but nobody wants to be read to. And the first thing that you should do is to practice this. Get so comfortable with the words that you are saying, so that when you are delivering it, your focus can be on your delivery style rather than the content in that moment. Exactly as you said, for acting, we have to learn lines, and getting off book is the first thing that we have to do. And we do this so that we can focus on portraying our character in the most kind of authentic way. So I know it can seem daunting, but practicing out loud is really important so that you can hear how you're saying the words. Another thing that, as actors we have to do is we will have for example, a tech run, like a technical rehearsal the night before a show. And this is essentially kind of simulating the actual conditions of show night. And I really encourage students to do the same thing, to kind of simulate the conditions of your speech. So have a few people in the audience, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's a few people you don't know, and practice in front of them. Go and practice, whether you're doing a Zoom call or you're doing it in an auditorium. Find the time to practice in those spaces, just so that you don't have any unexpected surprises or distractions on the day of your actual performance and delivery. The second thing I would say is, there are some things that can really help you to relax before you are doing a speech. And by warming up your face, your voice, your body, again, it just helps you to feel more prepared. It makes you kind of put your head in the zone. Another thing, is to really focus on is your voice, because ultimately this is the most important instrument that you possess, right? Especially when you're doing speeches and presentations. So taking a nice deep breath in and just humming for as long as you can on your exhale can be a really nice way to open up your vocal cords. You can do the same thing with the word yes, or with no, or making a sound. You can also try some tongue twisters. This is something that I really love. It's just like a really nice, fun way to relax yourself before you're about to present. So one of my favorite tongue twisters is unique New York, unique New York. You know you need unique New York. And just saying that over and over again as fast as you can, just to kind of get yourself mentally prepared. Also, I think when you're doing tongue twisters, it prepares you for the fact that you might say something incorrectly or you might fumble over your words, but it's fine. You just keep going.
You've said so many wonderful things, Natasha. And I want to do a recap, the things that are
Sure.
sticking out for me too. I really like that you said rehearsing out loud, because it's so easy for us to think, I know what I'm saying. I wrote the words. Of course, I'm going to be able to say them when it comes time. But thinking and speaking are two totally different processes, and they happen at completely different speeds. I mean, we're capable of thinking of about 4,000 words a minute. We can only speak 125 of them. So it feels in our brain like we've got this. But until we rehearse it and say it out loud, that's when we're going to know, where are we going to trip up, where are we stuck, where is it not flowing, where do we need to improve. So I agree with you 100% about the out loud rehearsals, and I recommend to all of you guys, when you're practicing this, make sure that you're recording yourself too, and like Natasha said, in front of a live audience whenever you can, to help add that realness, like a dress rehearsal, like that final night, right before you go live and all your people are there. And then I love the relaxation techniques and 100% breathing. It's such a simple thing that we do without even thinking. But when it comes to speaking, it's something we need to consciously activate and think about, because we very often will be holding our breath. And my favorite, your favorite tongue twister became my favorite tongue twister after you mentioned it, because it's easy to remember and memorize, but it's also quite difficult to keep saying. So that's
For
something
sure.
that I know I need to work on myself, is warming up those muscles even more. So thank you so much. Absolutely wonderful tips. And of course, Natasha, we're human beings, so mistakes are going to happen. We are imperfect people. So it's not a matter of if we'll trip up, freeze, go blank, lose our place, or say the wrong thing. It's a matter of when. In American football, it's called a fumble, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world when it does happen. So can you tell me about a time where you made a mistake on stage, and also how speakers can recover from a setback when it inevitably happens to us?
I've made many mistakes on stage. And just to kind of really reiterate what you said, we're human. It's absolutely fine. You know, everyone makes mistakes and hiccups at one point or another. And, you know, the truth is actually what you notice, most other people don't. And I think that that's really important to keep in your mind, because you can really beat yourself up in the moment of, I've said the wrong thing or I've missed a bit out. It's absolutely fine. There is a real value actually in being vulnerable in front of people. Again, it comes back to this point of, you know, being relatable. So I was doing a play, we'd missed out a big section, and I knew that it was vital that the audience knew this missing information. So I just incorporated it. I was like, we seem to have missed a little bit out, but let me quickly tell you what happens. And you just go with it. And everyone sort of laughs and you carry on, because the really important thing to remember is not that you've made a mistake, but is to remember to finish. You've got to get through to the end point, and you're going to, right? Not many people just walk off stage because they've made a mistake. So you're going to have to find a way deep within to get past the fact that maybe something has happened that was unexpected, and just focus on getting to the sort of very end. So appreciate that you are going to make mistakes. Know that it's okay, it's human, it's expected, but how you deal with it is really the most important thing. So rather than kind of panicking in that moment, pause, take a deep breath, take a moment to think if you need, and just carry on. And the last thing I want to say, you know, really on kind of recovering from setbacks, is to trust yourself. You know, trust that you have written a speech that's based on the knowledge you possess. Okay, trust your material. Okay, that your words are important, that you have something of value to say. You know, I mentioned this before, and trusting that it's really important. More than delivering a perfect speech, is actually just to get your information out there. And however you end up doing it is going to be authentic to you.
I love the concept of reframing those mistakes too, because very often, especially if people struggle with some perfectionistic tendencies, which I myself am a perfectionist in recovery. You know, I've moved past that. It no longer has control in my life. But when people have that mindset, they're very afraid to make a mistake because they're equating their validation, their sense of worth, right, getting that from other people and being afraid to make a mistake, when I feel that we should actually be thankful when we make a mistake because it allows us to learn. So to sum that up, there is a lesson in every loss. So even in public speaking, if you bomb a speech, or even if you just do kind of a good job, there's an opportunity, if you choose to accept it, to learn and do better the next time. So thank you for your insight. I have another question for you. You've got 15 seconds to go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self. What do you say in those 15 seconds?
It's going to be fine. Everything that you think is a stress or a worry, it's all going to work out. It might not work out the way that you expected, but that's okay. Just keep going and have so much fun on the journey. Have so much fun. Laugh until your stomach hurts and eat all of the food. Okay, eat all of it. That's what I would say.
Oh, that's great. I love it. And lastly, self-care is so important to me, and I love to promote that within my students. It's not part of the curriculum, but I think it should be part of every curriculum. So what is the most recent fun thing that you did just for yourself, Natasha?
That's a very, very good question. I'm not sure how fun this was, but it was definitely needed. About a week ago, I just had 2 complete days without my phone. I just switched my phone off. I told my family that I wouldn't be in touch, and I needed to remember what it was like to not rely on my phone. I think I'm so used to kind of like, hunching my back and looking down and scrolling endlessly for no real reason, just to pass time. And I wanted to remember what it was like to just feel imaginative. And to be honest with you, I became, by the end of it, I felt so much more creative. So it was actually really fun. I really enjoyed it. So that was a very big piece of self-care for me.
I think unplugging is one of the greatest things we can do for ourselves. And I hope that you did have a ton of fun with it.
I did. I ate a lot of food. That's really actually what
Yes,
we most
all the
enjoyed.
food you wanted, anything and everything you wanted. And Natasha, if our students would like to connect with you, tell us a little bit about the kinds of things that you do in addition to acting, directing. I know I gained a lot of value from listening to you speak during the Creative Mornings talk. So how would students get in touch with you and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure, yeah. So thank you so much. As you've mentioned, I'm an actor and director here in Hong Kong. I do some voiceover work. I work with students, and recently I've been working with individuals to help them to de-stress using theatre techniques. And I've really loved that, and I've seen a lot of benefit in it, and hopefully my clients have as well. And I've also have a YouTube channel where I talk about a lot of a wide range of topics, but the kind of angle is always trying to be empathetic to somebody else's situation. So it's kind of like an empathy vlog, and that's at the YouTube handle of Tash Talks, and my Instagram handle is JAINEY JAIN, so Janie Jain, and my email address is nvjain15@gmail.com.
This has been such a lovely time to spend with you. I also appreciate you mentioning such valuable things in terms of empathy, relaxation, our sense of worth. I mean, it's so much more than a public speaking class. It's so much more than a speech. Anytime that we choose to express ourselves, to be authentic, to be vulnerable, there is power in that. And I think it's important for younger people to hear this from the older people. And I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm in my 40s, and I just feel so committed to investing in the next generation, and not just in terms of skills. Absolutely, I want them to be better speakers, but I also want them to know how valuable they are as human beings and how much their words and their voice matters. And I get that same sense from you. So I appreciate your time so much today.
Especially with everything that's going on in the world, I think communication's never been more important. And I agree that the younger generation, they are fantastic, they're creative and open-minded, and I think they're going to save a lot of us in many ways. So if they can focus on that communication and get to a point where they're really happy with, sky's the limit.
And there you have it, everyone. A conversation with Natasha Jain about extemporaneous delivery and recovering from setbacks, plus some bonus things in there. I hope you enjoyed it, learned a lot, and have some awesome takeaways that you can apply to your own life and in your own speaking scenarios. Been a pleasure to be of service, and looking forward to the next episode of Tatiana Teaches.